Let me just check. Perfect. So just let me know when we are able to start.
Yep, go for it.
Perfect. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. SMART VALOR is happy to host another AMA session, this time with the Kyber Network Team. My name is Ivan Anastassov, and I'm Head of Business Development at SMART VALOR. Today we have Sunny Jain, Head of Product, and Shane Hong, Marketing Manager from the Kyber Network Team. Before we start the AMA session, please keep in mind that the AMA session is not an investment advice. So do your own research if you want to buy any tokens before that. If you lose any money, either from trading or long-term investment, it's your own fault because you have your own responsibility. I have Kyber Network crystals as well by myself in order to be fully transparent, and I guess as well as Sunny as Shane, obviously both will have KNC tokens as well. Okay, then let us start with the AMA session. The DeFi ecosystem is taking off rapidly, and Kyber plays a major role as a liquidity protocol, serving a variety of dApps. Can you guys give a short intro of Kyber Network for the users which are not familiar with your project? And also it would be great if you guys can give a short intro about your role at Kyber Network.
Sure. Maybe I can start, Sunny. Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for the SMART VALOR team, Ivan, Leila, Olga, and the rest of your team for inviting us to this AMA, and also listing KNC recently. So I work in Kyber Network for about 2 years already as its marketing manager. So I lead their branding and communication efforts. And what I do essentially is try to educate more members of the community about our protocol and how we can be used in different depths within a DeFi space or Ethereum space. So what Kyber essentially is a liquidity, on-chain liquidity protocol that can be used in any decentralized application to enable decentralized token swaps within the application. So this could be anything such as like a crypto wallet or a website or a DeFi lending borrowing platform that requires some kind of a liquidation mechanism in the backend for tokens to be swapped. In the backend, any of these different use cases can integrate Kyber and for the liquidity needs. So yeah, so Sunny, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for inviting us here. It's good to be here. So I'm Sunny. I've almost completed 2 years at Kyber Network. In fact, this month I have completed 2 years. Right now I'm heading product at Kyber Network. So my prime responsibilities revolve around Kyber Swap, which is our in-house product that uses Kyber Network for its liquidity need. It's a decentralized exchange, Kyber Swap. So I've been involved in making sure we have the best user experience when they want to swap tokens. We have our presence in a dApp browser, mobile apps, and time to time keep on adding new features based on the user feedback. I'm also whenever it needed, I make sure that present Kyber at different events. Apparently not happening nowadays a lot, but prior to COVID, I was representing Kyber again, along with Shane, educating user on what is Kyber, how they can use Kyber, how they can build innovative platforms using Kyber, some of the success stories of companies that have built successful platforms using Kyber as the backend technology.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I used to do the same for SMART VALOR, but now we're switching over to this online Zoom calls and Teams calls and all the online nice medias. Exactly. Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome once again, and let me start with the first question. I mean, guys, we had tons of questions. We needed out of time issues to keep it to 10 questions. But I picked up the 10 most important ones and the ones who were asked like multiple times.
Okay, bring them on.
Let me start with the first question. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, for the newbies out there, more or less, they see for them it's quite confusing for the first time if they go on a decentralized exchange like a Kyber Network, because they're used to this centralized order books. They're used to see the different trading pairs, and on the Dexes it looks a little bit different. So let me like read down the question. The question is like read out: on centralized exchanges, users see order book of the different trading pairs. Where is the order book on Kyber Network, and how does the price discovery work?
Okay, yeah. Let me take this. I get this question quite a lot, so nothing new to me. So let me just explain. Like why do you need order books on a centralized exchange, and why you don't have it on decentralized exchange, and how does the price discovery work? So there are three parts to this. So the first part, right, why there are order books on a centralized exchange. Deep down, how centralized exchange work is basically an OTC model. If you want to sell a specific token on a centralized exchange, there has to be a buyer for that specific token at that specific price. And what centralized exchange does is basically they match a buyer with the seller. So, and if you want to sell a token and you want to sell it at a specific price, and there is no buyer at the other end, what do they do? They take your order and they show it on the site, which we call it order books. So order books is basically all the orders of buyer and seller which are not yet matched. Whereas, so that's why you need order books on centralized exchange, because of the primary model of like the way they works is basically OTC. On the decentralized exchange, we don't have the concept of OTC. Instead, when you want to sell a specific token, we have liquidity reserve, which is, so let me take an example. Let's say you want to buy KNC and you have ETH, right? So you want to give your ETH and you want to buy KNC. So on the back end, Kyber has the liquidity for Ethereum as well as KNC. So when you trade, your trade is executed against a reserve. That means your trade is guaranteed to execute, unless there's some specific condition where trade might not execute, but most probably it will execute. We don't wait for the other party. So there is no buyer and seller. It's always you versus a reserve. So you give your ETH to that reserve, you take out KNC, and that's how your trade execute. So there is no need for order books in decentralized exchange, and that's why you don't find an order book on decentralized exchange. Now, the third part of the question, price discovery. So it again depend upon the way decentralized exchange work. So for example, Kyber has a different price discovery mechanism, Uniswap has a different, and some other exchange would have different. So talking about Kyber, right? So Kyber at the back end has two types of reserve. One we call like FPR, and one is called APR. So the FPR one is basically you have a reserve, and let's say it has again ETH and KNC. So what is the price of KNC in terms of Ethereum? So there is an external price feed that keep on updating that reserve on the latest market rate. That's why when you are executing, you are guaranteed that you will get the best available rate in the market, because FPR keep on updating itself at the back end with the latest data. On the other hand, the second type of reserve, APR, has an inbuilt market making mechanism. That means it does not depend upon any external price feed to determine the rate of, for example, KNC to Ethereum. It has this inbuilt formula that helps us to decide what should be the rate. The formula has some parameter which are decided when you set up the reserve.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for answering the questions. This basically leads us to the second question, which is kind of a follow-up question on what you just decided. So the second question is, please explain Kyber Network's liquidity supply model, APR and FPR. And following up on that, can anyone participate with any token to add liquidity to the market? Are there any minimum amounts, and how does it work? And in other words, is there a way to do yield farming on Kyber like it is possible on other protocols?
Yeah, maybe I can take this. So I think Sunny gave a brief introduction about the APR earlier, but I'll just reiterate on the concept. So Kyber, as mentioned, is an on-chain liquidity protocol. It's very different from a typical order book exchange, such as SMART VALOR. And so there are no humans actually setting or bots setting certain orders on an order book, waiting for an order to be filled. Kyber requires many liquidity pools with different tokens available already, and we call them reserves. So we have many different types of reserves to cater to the needs of different parties in the ecosystem. For the APR, what we call an automated price reserve, is very similar to Uniswap's AMM model. It goes through, it uses a certain algorithm to determine the price of the token depending on how much liquidity, how much token inventory there is in the reserve. And this APR type of reserve is very useful for token teams or individuals that want to contribute liquidity to Kyber, because you just need to put in a certain amount of ETH, a certain amount of the tokens, and the price will change depending on how many people are trading and how much inventory is available. So it's very automated in that sense. It's much easier to maintain. You just deposit liquidity and wait for the fees to be collected. So the difference between our APR and Uniswap's AMM model is, firstly, it's much more efficient. So for Uniswap, you require maybe 2 to 3 times more inventory to produce the same slippage and the same kind of liquidity level as Kyber's APR. But the trade-off is, for our APR, once the price goes beyond a certain set range that you preset it at the beginning, the reserve manager has to rebalance the reserve or to reset the parameters. So there's a little bit more management involved, but the benefit is it's much more capital efficient. There's much lower slippage compared to the AMM model. So this is the automated price reserve, APR. So to cater for professional market makers or advanced developers that require more customization when it comes to market making, to contributing liquidity, we have the FPR, the Fed price reserve. So for the FPR, it's not as simple as just depositing liquidity and let it run its course and collect the fees after. For FPR, you need to be more on the ball. You have to constantly set the prices that you want in order to fit your pricing strategy and to make profits from market making. So you need to be managing the reserve more often than the APR, but it gives you much more flexibility, more customizable features, and with all these different advanced tools, you are able to profit more from market making. That's the ideal situation, right? With more flexibility, you're able to use different pricing strategies to make more money. So these are the two main reserve types. We have another one called using Uniswap pools or Bangkok pools or other on-chain liquidity pools. Kyber can just bridge them and take liquidity from them as well. So the prices that we offer for those tokens are at least the same or better pricing than the bridge pools that we use. And to your second question about whether anybody can contribute liquidity at the moment, the answer is no. For reserves right now, you need to go through a certain due diligence process. And the reason being, we don't want to list certain scammy tokens or security tokens. We are only listing utility tokens. But in the long run, we really understand that in the DeFi space, there's a need for permissionless open systems and where people can, take part in yield farming, for example, or listing different tokens that might be new. They might not be security tokens, but they have not. They need not go through like a certain due diligence process. So in the long run, what we are exploring is to, in a responsible way, create a permissionless way, a platform for people to actually contribute liquidity. but this is not ready yet. But this is something that we are looking into and we're very serious about. But we feel, in our opinion, that it has to be done, slowly, because we need to be responsible about it. We need to do it in a very measured way, and we don't want to just open up liquidity contribution and you have a flood of like different scammy tokens and security tokens, which will be very detrimental to a lot of users in the space. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, especially if you look at one of the biggest problems of Uniswap is that also like fake tokens. I mean, you have like Ethereum a little bit different written, and people who are like new to the space might buy the fake tokens and then burn with this case. And that's why I totally agree that there must be kind of a selection or pre-selection of the tokens. Like have you thought about kind of an intermediate solution where you say, okay, for example, if we list Velour and we want our users, our Velour token holders to contribute liquidity as well, not only from us as Smart Valor, is this something which would be possible, for example? Or like, what about completely decentralized tokens on your exchange? I mean, who owns Ether, for example, or Rep BTC? So who is the market maker on that? Have you thought about possibilities where let's say I want to contribute 10 ETH to the ETH pool? Obviously, that's not a new token. I don't need to run through a new due diligence process, but I would be able to get some kind of rewards from sending out the liquidity. Have you thought about something like that?
Yes, definitely. So that's definitely something we are already researching and exploring. So on one hand, on one tier, right, we want to allow anybody to create their own reserve and set up their own reserve without, in a permissionless manner. And on another level, we want people to list the tokens, right, to not just set up the reserve, but to contribute liquidity to that reserve in a permissionless manner. What we are researching and trying to develop right now is a way for people to do that. And okay, just to recap on like how the Kyber protocol works, is any dApp can actually integrate the protocol and gain access to those tokens. And that is on the taker side of things. On the maker side, the market maker side of things, right now, not everybody can contribute liquidity. But in the long run, as mentioned earlier, we want to develop a way for them to do that. But the dApps on the taker side, they can actually choose which sources of liquidity they can pull the tokens from. So for a dApp that doesn't want to list specific tokens, for example, just call it token A, they don't want to list token A, they may choose on the front end not to pull tokens from that reserve. But another dApp might be willing to list that token, and we want to give the option for any dApps to choose whichever reserve they want. So yeah, to your question, we are definitely looking into that. We just want to make the process really like conducive for a very safe and responsible environment in the DeFi space, because if we just open the floodgates, there will be a lot of scams and a lot of users would be affected and might lose a lot of money.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So one last thing before we switch to the next question is, because I saw it in other questions as well, is the FPR. You mentioned, Sunny, that you have external price feeds. Where does the price feeds come from? Do you use other protocols like Chainlink or Band, or is it something like integrated in the Kyber or Kyber network, or do you use something else as external price feeds for the FPR version?
Hello. Yeah. So actually, it's up to, so as Shane said, right? So the FPR is being set up by a team who have very customized and very professional market maker. So it is basically up to them to how they want to update it. So, but internally we do use Chainlink for some of our some places when we need any price reference or any reliable external price feed. Yeah, so we have been thinking on whether we should start using Band as well. But right now, so the answer to the question is it depends upon to the team that is basically implementing the API. We do guide them, how they can use it. Of course, internally we have been using Chainlink as one of the reliable price.
Perfect. Good. Thank you very much. Then let's go to the next question. Currently, the Kyber Liquidity protocol works only with ERC20 tokens. Do you have any plans to expand to other protocols as well, including other cross-chain token exchanges like PolkaSwap?
Yeah, so I mean, Kyber, like the liquidity protocol, the technology that we have built is can be easily taken over to another blockchain. In fact, in 2019, we were researching upon interoperability between Ethereum chain and EOS chain. We did release our research paper on that. It's called Waterloo Project. And so it has two phases. The first phase was to bring any token from Ethereum chain on the EOS chain. And the next phase was to bringing a token from EOS on Ethereum chain. The project right now is on hold because Ethereum community moves at such a fast pace. So we are focusing more on the Ethereum side, but it is the source code and the research paper is available on the GitHub. I will share with you the link and the details if anyone wants to explore upon that. So that was about like EOS and that one. We were part of the WBTC team that has brought the BTC over the Ethereum chain. Is I think one of the most used wrapped Bitcoin project. And not only that, even on like we are a part of the REN BTC Alliance as well. On Kyber, we have listed a lot of wrapped projects like we have PBTC, REN BTC, WBTC. So there are a lot of options for people to to buy whatever they want, like wrapped Bitcoin in different flavors. We also have I think PLTC coin as well. So yeah, so these are the thing. So apart from this, Kyber, not only that, like there are two successful cases where we have taken the Kyber technology from Ethereum and use the exact same model on different blockchain. So first one is, and last year we did launch a project called YOLOSwap, which was entirely on EOS blockchain, but allowing people to swap token EOS token. So YOLOSwap is one of them. We also use the same Kyber technology on Tomo chain. So there's a Tomo swap as well. So that way, so we have been involved into different projects, and we have used Kyber tech on different blockchain, and it works pretty well, like flawlessly. So it's pretty. I think it is pretty easy to take Kyber tech and use it on a different blockchain. It's pretty flexible in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very interested on that. I will try definitely YOLOSwap. Is it still live?
Yes, it is still live. Are you still holding some US tokens?
Yeah, I do. Indeed.
Yeah, it's still alive. You can just go ahead and use it.
Okay. Perfect. Good. So basically then let's go to the next question. The Ethereum gas fees are rising and rising, making Dexes more unattractive. How are you planning to deal with this problem? Do you see a decline in trading activities correlating with the Ethereum gas fee increase?
Yeah, let me take this thing into two parts, right? So yes, so this is the fact, right? Ethereum gas price has been crazy lately, and yes, it is one of our top priority at the moment on handling this issue. Swapping tokens is becoming more expensive. So let me answer your first question. Is it impacting our business? Yes and no. So in terms of our trading volume, we don't see any dip. It's pretty much the same. But in terms of, I would say, those small traders who have been trading, let's say, let's say half ETH to KNC, half ETH to DAI, I've seen a dip in those traders because honestly, like rationally, it doesn't make sense to pay high gas fees when your trading amount is so small. But because rising gas fees and then the market, like in the recent small bull run of Ethereum, we see a lot of big players have been, trading a lot. So in terms of total trading volume, we don't see any much of difference because of the gas price, like hardly any difference. But yes, those small traders have been like silent. So the second, like, what are we doing, right? So let me go into slightly technical way on what we have been planning to do. I have released a blog post on it, I think last week, on gas price and Kyber swap. The second part of that blog post will be released tomorrow. So, the way Kyber protocol works is, so let me take the example. Let's say you have 1 ETH and you want to swap it to KNC. Okay, let's say 1 ETH. So, and there are 4 reserves that support ETH to KNC conversion at Kyber swap. Okay, at Kyber network. So let's say A, B, C, D are the 4 reserve, right? So reserve A is offering you 1 ETH to 250 KNC. Reserve B 251, reserve C is 252, and reserve D is 253. So when you instruct Kyber network smart contract to swap your ETH to KNC, it actually go and check all the 4 reserve and find out which is offering you the best rate. Okay, so then in this case, it finds the reserve D is giving you the best rate. So then it swapped your tokens using reserve D. So sometimes it uses single reserve, sometimes it has to split your trade across multiple reserve. The end objective is to get you the best possible rate. Okay, that's we want the rate to be in the favor of user. Now, so at Kyber, so there's a lot of gas that get consumed when the smart contract is querying different reserve and finding which is the best reserve for you. And a lot of gas gets consumed when it is actually swapping the tokens. So after the recent catalyst upgrade of Kyber network protocol, so there are 2 activities. One is finding the best reserve. Second is swapping your token. So the way to reduce gas cost is basically if we can do some of the work that smart contract is doing off chain. So reducing the work that is done by the actual smart contract will actually reduce the gas. So recent upgrade of Kyber network protocol, the catalyst upgrade, allows us to finding the best reserve off chain. And then telling the Kyber network that, okay, you don't need to find the best reserve for me. I have already figured it out. Just go and swap my token against that reserve. So if we do that, we will be reducing the gas consumption considerably. This whole phenomenon is called reserve routing, which basically finding the reserve off chain and then telling the smart contract which reserve to use. So yes, so Kyber network, our team at Kyber Swap and Kyber network has been researching. So that's one of the way to reduce gas. The other way is to use a gas token, which basically, when you're swapping, we burn some small gas token and that refunds some fees back to you. We have been looking at this. We have been also researching about a good layer 2 solution, okay, that will give us the speed as well as the cost. And we also looking at, if we can use a combination of these 3 things. So these are the ways that we have been looking at it. So it's not only looking at it, we have been actually also in the process of doing something about it. And in the coming few weeks, we'll be releasing more details about what what Kyber swap basically would do to reduce the gas cost for the user. But like to be honest, like this is, yes, we know that gas fees is being crazy recently, and we have been working on it. We are not like sitting idle for that. Okay, so we know that we need to work for the users, but we want users to get the best rate that Kyber is known to provide for, and we want to reduce the gas cost for the users. So we want both the things for the users.
Yeah, I mean, of course, and it's not only traders which are which intend to use your protocol, but it's also for dApps. And if you're and some of the dApps will have really small transactions which are currently not possible. That's why I was like asking before if you were like thinking of like kind of integrating different chains, because some chains might be more useful for like smaller transactions, smaller dApps rather than for trading.
Yeah, I wanted to add a little what Sunny said. So Yeah, you're definitely right. The gas costs recently have been really crazy high. You can see the number of users for Ethereum-based games have dropped drastically during this period. When a lot of people are doing yield farming, right? The gas costs have been enormous. So I think one thing to highlight is Kyber's transactions uh, incur a lot of gas because our transactions are fully on chain. So this is something that I realize that not many people in the space actually take note of. So Uniswap and Kyber, we are fully on-chain protocols where every trade is entirely performed on the Ethereum blockchain. So this gives a lot of benefits, right? Like full transparency, full verifiability in terms of the pricing. The price you see is the price you get, and it's always transparent. It's secure. It's secured by the blockchain, basically. But there are certain dexes which still fall under the dex category, and it's often compared alongside with Kyber, that are hybrid versions. So they have off-chain components and on-chain components. Primarily, most of the time, the matching, the final trade settlement is on-chain, which is obviously the most critical part. But they save a lot of gas on the off-chain component side of things. So for Kyber, it was a design choice from the beginning for the protocol to be fully on-chain. And this means the trade-off is that the gas cost would be high because everything is run on Ethereum. So like Sunny mentioned, we are looking at various ways where we can reduce this gas cost. And Layer 2 is something that we are already researching, but it's at a very early stage. But we have a dedicated team within Kyber that is fully focused on looking at scaling solutions. And hopefully in the future, we will have more news to share on that topic. And I think another thing to highlight is because our transactions are all fully on-chain, we are able to be used, our protocol is able to be used by a lot of these DeFi dApps that need on-chain liquidation, on-chain portfolio rebalancing. So any other platform that has off-chain components, off-chain liquidity, can't be used by these innovative DeFi use cases. Anything that requires smart contract interaction needs fully on-chain liquidity, like what Kyber provides. So if there are any off-chain components, it's great for trading purposes because there's a reduction of gas costs. And personally, in my opinion as well, I think centralized exchanges, right, Dexes will always have a part to play as well because it's more efficient in terms of the trading costs for that matter. But for DeFi platforms that require smart contract interaction, they definitely need on-chain liquidity. And that is why, as a design choice, Kyber's liquidity protocol is fully on-chain.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a pity because usually I can remember like in January or end of last year I was using like Dexes for even small transactions where you say, okay, I just want to use this new app, this new dApp, and then I have a little bit of ETH in my MetaMask. I would just swap $5 and then try it out, which is now basically impossible. I mean, for larger trades, if you like trade $1,000, $2,000, if you pay $2, $5, or $10, yeah, well, it is significantly different, but it's not the same difference if you like want to swap a little bit in order to use a certain dApp.
Exactly.
Which makes it a bit pity, but let's hope that with ETH 2.0 we'll be able to solve this problem. Good. So let me go to the next question, the question 5. Can you explain the users how staking works and where do the rewards come from?
Cool. I will take this. So to recap again, Kyber's protocol, that it can be integrated in any dApp or Dexes that need us for liquidity. And every time a trade occurs in the network, there's a protocol fee, there's a network fee that's actually taken from the trade. This, for now, it's 0.2% of the trade value. So these fees are collected and into the smart contract. And we have something called the Kyber DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where any KNC holder is able to stake their KNC tokens to get a share of these network fees that are collected. And every 2 weeks, it's actually every epoch, but it's the period is 2 weeks. It's a voting period where users can actually vote on important proposals that dictate the the development direction for Kyber. Certain important parameters in terms of fee percentages, or certain proposals where we want to change the rate of the token burn, and other important parameter changes or development proposals. All KNC holders that stake their tokens are eligible to vote. And by voting, in exchange, they get ETH rewards that they can claim after every epoch. So to answer your question, fees are collected every time a trade occurs through the network. And part of these fees will be used for voting rewards. Another portion of this fees will be used for burning KNC tokens, and another portion will be used to incentivize liquidity providers, the reserves that contribute liquidity to Kyber.
Okay, cool. Sounds interesting. So the next question is
just to add a little more on that. So Kyber's protocol has already facilitated more than $1 billion worth of on-chain transactions since we launched on mainnet. And based on Binance research report last year, we were the most used protocol in DeFi. And CoinGecko this year also released another report saying that we are the most popular DEX protocol. So all these contribute, by being one of the most integrated protocols in DeFi and most used. This means there's a lot of volume going through all the DeFi dApps that are integrated with Kyber, and that contributes more to the network fees that are collected over time as well. For people who stake and vote, the amount of rewards they get will increase over time if we get more trades occurring through the network. So there's a very direct correlation between network growth and the amount of voting rewards stakers can get.
Okay, great. So basically I go to the next question, which is kind of related to both of us, is what is the difference between staking on Kyber and on Smart Valor? And yeah, basically that's the question. Do you guys want to make the first answer? Then I can add something on that as well.
Maybe I can talk more about the Kyber part, and you can talk more about Smart Valor part. So the default way to stake would be to go to just kyber.org, https kyber.org/vote, and you can vote there. You can stake the KNC in the current epoch, and you can vote in the next epoch and claim rewards in the epoch after. So that is the default way. It's pretty straightforward. But as mentioned earlier, you need to vote every 2 weeks. So this could be a hassle for some users. They may not feel that they are equipped in terms of Kyber knowledge to vote on certain proposals. So they might want to delegate their vote to a friend or to a third-party staking pool or pool operator. So we're really glad that we have many options for our users, and one of the great options is Smart Valor. We are thankful that almost right after we launched our Kyber DAO, Smart Valor had open support for KNC staking for your users, and you guys have a very exciting promotion campaign as well, where they can actually earn for the next, I think, 2 more months, 3 times the ETH rewards you get for, as compared to staking directly on kyber.org. So maybe, Ivan, you want to share more about this promotion?
Exactly, and that would be the next question. How can you earn the 3 times more KNC award on Smart Velour? So let me quickly add on the question 6 before we move on to the promotion. It's basically, yeah, you have the 2 choices, either to contribute directly or to let someone else contribute on your behalf. And obviously, like if you don't have the technical knowledge and you don't feel safe in order to store your own private keys, and or you don't have the time, or you don't feel that you're appropriate to vote on a certain on certain things, on certain promotions, then like going to a centralized exchange like Smart Velour, and we take care of the whole like technical part, is obviously a huge advantage. Also, for small KNC holders, I mean, like we know the gas fees are quite a problem. So if you don't have a significant amount of KNCs, I'm not sure where the break-even point is, but I think you definitely need to have more than 1,000 or 2,000 KNCs in order to have a financial benefit from voting. And if you don't want to go through all this hassle, if you go on Smart Velour, you get 100% of the voting rewards. And for us, like, I mean, as exchange, we pool the funds from the different users, and we vote on behalf of the users. And then it's completely different. I mean, it's if you have like from 10 users, 1,000 KNCs, then it's 10,000 KNCs. If you split down the mining fees, then it's like really minority. So it definitely makes sense for smaller investors to search for a staking pool. And to the next question of how you can earn the 3 times the reward. So it's kind of promotion. So you get per default, you get 100% of the ETH rewards paid out in your Smart Velour account every 2 weeks. On top, if you log into Smart Velour at least 10 times in the last 14 days of the epoch, then you get 50% on top. If you bought the KNCs before then, you get another 100% on top. So these are like basically super simple things. So even if you don't want to buy more KNCs and you have them on another exchange, you can just sell them on the other exchange, transfer BTC or ETH to Smart Velour, exchange them to KNC, and do the staking. So instead of transferring the KNCs, you just sell them on the other exchange and buy them on Smart Velour. So they're pretty simple tasks. And if you invite some more friends, you can get up to 310% actually. So if you invite three friends, so 20% additional rewards per friend which you invited. We will put all the descriptions below in the description box, as well as all the other articles which you guys mentioned. So afterwards we can align and put them in the description box as well below.
I think there's even Smart Velour even made a video on how to log in and stake
yes,
KNC, right? It was very useful, informative tutorial on that as well. Well, thanks for coming up with that campaign for us.
Exactly. For sure. Like, I mean, this is the first. I mean, people who are not familiar with, they want to take a first step, and then probably in the next stage they would go directly to you guys. I think it's definitely a win-win situation for making people more aware to KNC and slowly moving them to the DeFi space.
I think it's very important, no matter what, is to have many different options for different people, because even people who usually want to be on the website, sometimes they might be busy for that particular epoch, right? They need to have another option where they can delegate to like to Smart Velour, so that you guys can vote on their behalf. I have a question though. Are there any certain regional restrictions? Smart Velour, because Kyber community members are from all over the world. Which countries can use Smart Velour? Just maybe you can just share the most popular regions.
Yeah, I mean, our most popular regions are obviously all the European countries, and the second most popular regions are the Asian countries. Well, in terms of restrictions, actually, the most prominent one is the United States. So unfortunately, that's not something which we can deal at a certain point, certain stage, because of the SEC regulation restrictions. But next to that, it's only the restricted countries which are have global restrictions, like Iran, Iraq, like North Korea, etc. So nothing too special on that. And yeah, otherwise the rest of the countries are open. We have customers from 124 countries on our exchange.
Wow.
So yeah, happy to get some more countries. I'm not sure how many more are left, but it's good to see that this number is growing.
Nice. Good to hear.
Good. Then we're on question number 8. So part of the network fees that are collected are used to burn KNCs. How exactly does this token burn work? Where do you get the KNCs from? Do you purchase them from your own exchange? Do you burn like tokens from the circulating supply or from your treasury? How does this work?
Okay, so the network fees that are collected from each trade currently is 0.2% of those trades. A certain portion, these are collected in ETH, right, in Ether. But when we want to burn KNC tokens, because KNC has a deflationary mechanism, we actually purchase the KNC from using Kyber, but before burning it, basically sending it to an address, which we can't retrieve the tokens after that. So the burn can be triggered anytime actually by anyone, but the team usually does it maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. There's no fixed schedule. Yes, but so this percentage that gets burned, this percentage of the network fees is actually decided through the voting. So in every epoch, the burn percentage actually changes. And yeah, every 2 weeks. It could stay the same if people vote for the status quo to remain for the burn percentage, but yeah, it could change as well. So
yeah, and you have to buy you buy the KNC with ETH, right?
Yes, the fees are collected in ETH. So this ETH will be used to purchase KNC and before burning it.
Okay, and you purchase the KNCs on your own exchange, I assume.
Yes. If I'm not wrong, this is done all through the smart contracts automatically. But Sunny, maybe you want to share more on how we actually get the KNC and before burning it?
Oh, so no, sorry. So you mentioned the fees that Kyber collect. Yeah. So
yeah, so a portion of that, a portion of the ETH fees will be used to buy KNC right off the market. Maybe you want to share more on the operationally how it's actually purchased using Kyber and after that being burned.
Actually, I'm not very sure on the exact operation on how it's being done because it's done by the smart contract team. And I do not want to give any misinformation here because so maybe I can check with the smart contract team on how exactly they do it. But yeah, so there is a process where they decide on when to get the KNC and and the kickoff process of burning KNC is always when we hit certain million, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what triggers the buying point and what price? I'm not exactly familiar with the protocol that is being used by the smart contract team. So I'm afraid do not want to give any misinformation here.
Yeah, actually, some of these operational like steps would be decided by the DAO as well, because it's going to affect how much KNC is purchased and burned, how much ETH is needed to buy the KNC and burn it because of the gas fees, right? Everything is done on chain, so everything is very transparent. But it would mean that during periods of high gas, we might want to hold on the burning or the purchasing of KNC until the gas costs are lower or something like that. So there's no fixed schedule. And the exact operational steps might change based on the community's like discussion and consensus through the DAO.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just my question or the question of the users were if you buy it at one shot, if you buy it like on steps, etc. But if you're talking about the gas fees, then probably you buy it on steps as well, because if you buy it in one shot, it's not too much of a difference. So yeah, but yeah, if you can send us the information afterwards, if it's public, then we can include it into the video description for the users who are interested. Perfect. Then the next question is basically once again back to the gas fees. So the Ethereum gas fees basically make staking on Kyber Network unattractive for quite a lot of users. Are you afraid that staking pools might take the whole governance system, and that the whole governance system will become too centralized? Because currently exchanges like Binance, SMART VALOR, and some of the other staking pools, they basically influence the whole governance system. So how are you planning to address the situation in the future? Are you saying, okay, you have a maximum of KNCs which have a voting power? How do you or do you see this as a problem at all?
I think going back to our fundamental objective with having many different staking pools is to just really provide many different options, a wide variety of options for our users. It's very difficult, practically speaking, for us to control, or manage each of the staking pools. We don't manage any of them at all. We do, however, want to communicate with them very closely, like how we, talk to you guys at Smart Villa, and how we talk to the other third-party staking pools as well. And obviously, we do suggest like certain best practices, and let them know what the community thinks about staking through these third-party staking pools, any feedback the community have and that have shared with us. So one of the ways that we've seen, one of the main concerns, of course, is that there's a centralization of voting power in the staking pools. And one recommendation that we can give is for the staking pools to vote on the majority vote on the second last or the last day, so that the staking pool will not sway kind of like the decision. Another alternative is for the staking pool to do their own polling, right? Off-chain polling on which option their own community members, their own users would like them to vote on their behalf. So, for example, not saying that you should do it, but for example, in the future, Smart Villa, not just for Kyber, maybe for other staking tokens, you guys can run a off-chain poll on Telegram or on your website for which option your users would like you to pick, and maybe you go with that. That could be one way. Or Smart Villa can just vote on the option that had the most votes already on the second last or last day, so that you don't sway the decision, the community consensus. So these are two ways that we thought are quite useful, and these were recommended also by some community members. So if anyone has more ideas, the Kyber team is also very happy to hear them. But it's very difficult for us to control the different third-party staking pools because we are not directly affiliated to them in any way.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We were thinking of the same thing when we were deciding to vote on what we are voting. We're basically doing the same thing what you're saying. We're just waiting until the last day and just do what the majority is doing. Another possibility which we're thinking of is just to split off the KNCs to 4 different pools, and which are the same size, and just vote on all 4 outcomes. So in that case, our voting makes no difference.
Oh, that's interesting. First time I heard of that solution. So this is something we will also feedback to the team and let them hear about this interesting method. Thanks for sharing about that.
I think that's something which we're switching to this solution. And the other thing which we're thinking in the future is to say we're starting with a voting process on Smart Vader, and if we say we have 4 wallets, or like something like that. And then we have like a certain percentage for one, a certain percentage for two, etc. That we just pick the two first, and we say like, well, if it's like, we cannot do it exactly, you know, because it's difficult, because you cannot rebalance the tokens, but at least like approximately to say like, yeah, the majority were wanted to have answer A. So if we have 4 wallets, we put two votes on answer A, and the rest like BC is like more or less even. Then you put one on each, and the fourth one, yeah, even if there are like 2-3% of people who wanted to have that, yeah, something like that. That's also something which we're thinking as possibilities to work on. Yeah, I mean, if depending on the interest, and the interest is getting higher and higher for KNC staking, we could split up even more, kind of more wallets, and be more accurate towards the voters. But we're still like in the design phase of how the voting could be. Good. So yeah, last question. How can SMART Velour and Kyber work together besides cross-listing of their tokens? Yeah, should I answer that, or should I give the word to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we can start. Definitely more initiatives like this, you know, where we actually share ideas and share our thoughts with your community through this video, and you know, our community can also learn from what Smart Velour has to offer. And yeah, like education is very important in the space. I think a lot of centralized exchanges like Smart Velour are also looking into DeFi projects and DeFi tokens like Kybers, and it's always great to have many options for the community, for Kyber community, to get the KNC that they need to stake on the Kyber DAO, or other options to, you know, stake and vote, for example, through Smart Velour. So education is key in this space. We're still really early. Any other initiatives that we can work together to educate both our communities would be definitely very welcome in the future.
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, I can add some points on that, which we're partially also currently working on. I mean, one thing is obviously the cross-listing, so having the deal flow. So what we see currently is that more and more projects start on the DeFi space, and if we see that they're getting a lot of traction, and some of them are starting there and moving towards centralized exchanges as well, in order to have fiat on-ramps. So talking about fiat on-ramps, fiat on and off-ramps is definitely something which the Dexes currently need. So this is also a partnership which we're currently exploring. You guys have 2 fiat on-ramps already, but to a very limited amount of tokens. And we are currently in discussion with your business development team in order to add Smart Velour as another option, because you guys, for example, don't have KNC fiat on-ramp, as far as I saw on.
We do that. Yeah.
So that's definitely something which we can do. I mean, we are offering staking as a service currently, so this is also like something which is a big advantage. We're doing cross promotions, we're doing educational sessions, and many more things are about to come. We're very happy about this partnership and about this collaboration, which we have done so far. And yeah, I mean, looking at the time, I see that we have 4 more minutes, so I have 1 more questions for you guys. So you were talking about Rep BTC, how this basically was very helpful in order to put the BTC on the Dexes. And yeah, getting back to the question about like adding other tokens, do you guys have in plan to do other wrappers as well for other types of tokens? For example, wrapping Bitcoin Cash, or wrapping Dash, or wrapping EOS, or other like tokens which are yeah, hyped at the moment and would be yeah, quite beneficial to move to the Dexes as well.
So actually, for Wrap Bitcoin, we were one of the initial members of the DAO, and we kickstarted it together with Ren and BitGo. So we saw that, you know, there was a really big opportunity for Bitcoin users and hodlers to enter into the DeFi space, and so that's why we found a practical way to just wrap it in the ERC20 standard. it's still a custodied solution where BitGo is the custodian. But currently, we do see in the market more and more projects adopting this concept of a wrapped other chain tokens into the ERC20 standard. So, for example, REN has been experimenting and have already launched a mainnet for REN BTC and REN Zcash. P Network from the Provable team, they have also PLTC, PBTC. There are other cross-chain projects like TorChain and more that are coming into the market. So this is not something that Kyber is focusing on. We are still very active in the WBTC DAO, and we often give our own suggestions and recommendations on new tokens that can be wrapped and custodied by the WBTC team, mainly BitGo that is custodying now. But we are not focusing on developing our own cross-chain solution at the moment. But as Sunny mentioned earlier, we have a lot of experience and expertise with our EOS and Ethereum bridge. We are in the REN Alliance, we are in the Zcash Alliance, we are part of the WBTC network. So if in the future we do look into cross-chain, we think that we are well positioned to quickly research and find a good solution. But currently, we think there are other very innovative projects out there dealing with this particular topic. So right now, that's not our focus. Our focus, I would say, is more on maintaining our lead as the most used and integrated DeFi protocol right now, and as well as reducing gas costs by researching on layer 2 scaling solutions. So I would say these two are our main focus, along with obviously adding more liquidity to the protocol through working with more market makers and reserves in the long run.
Any layer 2 solutions which you're currently looking at as a final statement, or if it's not
well, we are really at an early stage. There's not much concrete details that we can share, but we are definitely looking at every single one to see the pros and cons. There are always trade-offs, but I would say we would look at a solution that works best with our current kyberswap.com DEX needs, and as well as seeing how we can increase adoption of this solution through various liquidity incentives, perhaps. So really early stage research, nothing to share. Maybe we can share more early next year, or maybe slightly earlier than that, but not sure yet. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Good. Then thank you very much, Shane and Sunny, for joining the AMA session. It was a pleasure. And hope that we can still continue working together and maybe do a second part in a couple of months.
For sure. Thank you for inviting us. I would say that all of the questions that you asked were very, very thoughtful and very relevant with the current market situation. Is one of the best AMA I have had.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting us. Just want to end off saying that if you're a dApp developer on Ethereum, if you're looking for a protocol where you can just integrate and have decentralized token swaps within your app or website or platform, do look into Kyber. So our documentation is totally open source. Anybody can integrate us for free without our permission. And if you need to get KNC to stake on the Kyber DAO to vote and earn ETH rewards, SMART VALOR is also one of the custodial options you can look at for staking as a service or to purchase KNC. So yeah, thank you, SMART VALOR team. Thank you, Ivan, for having us today.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice evening, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.